us. Hi, everyone. I'm Jillian Sidoti. This is my partner, Jeffrey Holst. And this is the Last Life Ever podcast where we never have technical undifficulties. Is undifficulty a word?
It's a very undifficult question to answer. So, by the way, I love the new countdown timer. Thanks for that. I appreciate it. If we can just get that worked out, the bugs. But I'm excited about today's show. Are you excited about today's show?
I am. Who do we have, Jeffrey?
Oh, we have Dr. Michaelyn Thomas, who's actually the sister of one of our previous guests, Alicia Thomas, which I'm going to do something I never do on the show. We're going to tag right up here. So if you're watching the show on YouTube, you can just click the link above us and you can find that episode as well. And that's one of our favorite episodes ever. But anyway, Dr. Michaelyn Thomas is, she works for Virgin Orbits, and she has this amazing blog, spacedOutDoc.com, which I love. And so you guys check it out. And I'm super excited to meet her and talk to her. And we're going to do that right after this.
Help me, my brother, can you lend me a hand as I walk through this land of confusion? If we give to each other, then there's nothing to take. Let's live life for the moment before it slips away.
Welcome to the show. I'm so excited to have you here.
Oh my goodness. Thank you so much, Jillian and Jeff. That introduction was amazing. And I am so excited to be here.
Oh, thank you. So, Michaelyn, tell us how you got into all things space.
Yes. So, it really starts when I was a little girl. So I really was fascinated by space. And my parents told me to reach for the stars. So I did literally. And it was like, right? And it was really cool. So, I wasn't sure exactly how I would get into space. And maybe we'll talk about that a little bit because I have a weird journey of getting there. But I knew that I was born to be working in this incredible space industry. And that's what I've been doing for about the last 15 years.
Well, no, it's funny you say that because I've always said that if I didn't go in the path that I went in, I would have wanted to be an astrophysicist. I loved physics in high school. Yeah. And then I took astronomy in college and I was a business major and I was just taking astronomy for the sake of taking it. And then it was super hard. And I was like, wow, this is really hard. There's a lot of really complicated math involved in this. So you knew at a very young age you wanted to do something in space. Were you like constantly looking at stars, or tell us about that?
Yeah, no, I think my, I really gravitated more towards the business side. I always thought that I would be an astronaut, but then I realized all the physical exercise you had to do. And I'm like, yeah, no, that's not for me. So, I did when I was an undergraduate. I was, in the science field, but then, I did change my major more to liberal arts, political science. And I actually graduated with a political science public law degree. And so my first space job was actually working contracts administration and contracts management on space programs. So that's really how I got my foot in the door in space.
Wow. So that's really cool. So you didn't even get you didn't even go in the science direction, but you knew you wanted to be in space. That's really cool. So that gives like a lot of hope to people who are like, ooh, really like space and the thought of space and what's going on up there, but maybe not so mathematically or science inclined. So what a great story. So when you went into this job search, were you working for NASA? You said you were working in contracts.
Yeah, no. So actually, I was working for a government contractor. So, really big aerospace company that
Okay.
did support missions, NASA missions, government missions, things like that.
That's so
And
cool.
so, yeah, I really started doing that more on that side. And as I progressed through my career, I went more towards the finance side of the house. So, how do you run the business? How do you
Yeah.
run the organization with the dollar bills? So, so yeah, I got to do that. And, I really kind of transitioned into more of program management. So that really brings the business side, the technical side, and like kind of how do we do all of this on time? And, really all together. And you kind of get to see everything come together as you deliver a spacecraft.
Wow.
So I've been really doing that, yeah, for a really long time. And recently, though, I did decide to go back to get that official engineering degree, so space systems engineering. So I'm actually going to be done with that in about 30 days, I think. Yeah. So I'm very
Wow.
close.
Congratulations on that.
That is so
Oh, thank
cool.
you.
You have a PhD, right? You already have a PhD, and that's not in that's in a science, but it's not physics or anything like that.
Right.
What is your PhD in?
Yeah, so my doctorate is actually organizational leadership.
Oh,
And
wow.
so, yeah, so it's really like the science behind organizations. How do you build strong teams? A lot of people who have my degree are in education. So, like a lot of superintendents, teachers, principals, or student administrators. But then you also see a lot of people, like, for instance, our First Lady, Dr. Jill Biden. She also has a Doctor of Education focus. So it's really a universal degree. A lot of space professionals actually go back to get this doctorate because our organizations are so complex.
Right.
One of my, yeah.
It's actually, I was just thinking that. I'm like, it seems like it would be really complicated. Because like there's so many moving parts, right? I mean, just tons and tons of stuff.
Literally and figuratively.
Yeah. That's right. So tell us so that's how you got into space. What do you do now in space? Like, what is your role now in your organization?
Sure. So, yeah, so I have a really cool opportunity to do a lot of different things. So, I am a senior leader within my current company, and I actually run the affordability organization and program. So, it's really how do we make rocket science affordable to really bring new customers into the space business?
Wow.
And yeah, it's
That
really
is so cool. So
Right.
we can all go to space. Michaelyn's going to make it possible so we can all go to space, guys.
Yeah, which is good because I didn't get into the space industry because I just figured later I'd be able to buy like, a ticket on the space elevator or something. And that hasn't happened yet. It's been a little bit slow. It's actually really disturbing to me. I've thought about this a lot. Like I'm 42, almost 43. I'm not quite as old as Jillian. And,
Wait a minute. He's literally 4 months younger than me.
Jillian, how old are you right now?
I'm 43, and you're
And
going to be.
right now I'm 42. Yeah, just saying. Anyway, so, but the thing is, like for all of us here, right? Like the United States put a man on the moon like 50 years ago, and no one's been on the moon in our lifetime. I mean, I can't speak for you because I didn't look up your date of birth, but I'm assuming it's the same for you as well, right? Like
Yes.
our whole lives, nobody's been on the moon, and we're just like, there's only like 6 or 7 people left alive that have been on the moon, and it worries me that like we might live in a world where there are no living moonwalkers. Like, is that going to happen, or are we going to get back to the moon?
No, that's a really great question. A lot of organizations are actually working towards to putting someone on the moon here within this next decade. So it's coming. There's many space programs right now that are really looking to advance to the moon that will actually enable organizations to advance people to Mars. So, that's all in the works. It's really exciting to be in the space business right now to see all of these cool organizations coming together to make this stuff happen.
So if you're in affordability, what is what is affordable space travel? Can you give us an idea of what that is going to look like, or if you even have an idea of what that's going to look like?
Yeah, no, great question. So actually, the type of space vehicles that I work on do not they're not crewed missions, so they're not human space flight. So
Okay.
really, my organization we launch small satellites.
Okay.
Now that being said, you start to see the shift of the commercialization of space. You see that across the board. And that's actually providing access to many people who have satellite dreams that want to launch their satellites and other things as well. So, it's really about creating that access for others, outside of the traditional, I would say, customers to launch satellites and space systems alike.
Oh,
Okay,
wow.
so if we
Yeah.
want to have a last life ever satellite, what is that going to cost me? I don't know what I'm gonna do with it. I'm just gonna send it up there and let it hang out.
Yeah. What are we broadcasting? The podcast? We need a satellite for our
No, we're
broadcast.
not gonna broadcast it. This is what it's just gonna be like a plaque that orbits that has our logo on it. It's gonna be orbiting last life ever.
Yeah,
Wow.
well, actually nowadays, satellite technology has really transitioned. So when I first started in the business, I was working on really big satellites. And when I say really big, like when fully deployed, it could be as large as a football field. Now, today, you can see satellites that are like the size of an iPhone. So, by
Wow.
changing the sizing and really updating and you just continuously enhancing the technology, you're able to reduce cost in that way just by, scale and volume alone. So, it really just depends on what your requirements are and what you want to do.
Well, it's just a business card size satellite with our logo on it. That's all it is. Can you throw that on like one of the other satellites for like as a gratis for us? Can we,
Oh my gosh, I love it.
Wait, but wait a minute. That
we'd
is
be the
fascinating.
first podcast in space, Jillian.
Oh,
Like
okay.
we'd go down in history.
I'm pretty sure Sirius Satellite Radio has.
It's not the
Sorry.
same thing. Like ours is our logo in space of our podcast. It's not a whole channel network. It's a single podcast in space.
Okay, I'm gonna turn this ship back around. I want to get back to something you just said. A football field size satellite. How do you even get that into space? Like the amount of rocket fuel. Like how do you do that? How do you throw something like that up in the air? Like I could see you throwing like an iPhone type size something up into the air and launching it into space, but like a football field, that's just incredible to me. Like do they launch it like in separate pieces and then assemble it when they get up there? Like is that how it goes? Or
Certainly, it sure could be. So there's different types of space systems. Now, when I say football field, that means fully deployed. So like there's things that need to unfold, right?
right.
So you can have it in a stowed position.
Okay.
And you just need a really big rocket to launch that. So
That is crazy.
definitely possible. But yeah, that's not really my business. But yeah,
Yeah.
so that's certainly something that has been done and is
Wow.
continuing to do. Yes.
Wow, that is so cool. So now listen, what do you say to people who say to you like, why are you so focused on space? Why don't we focus on Earth? Like there's things happening here on Earth.
Yeah, no, that's a really excellent question. So, space exploration really improves life right here on Earth in so many ways. And just to rattle off a few, for instance, some of the satellites that are launched actually really help to connect the unconnected, via internet. So there's still many areas on this Earth that don't have internet access. And when you can provide internet access to these areas, now they can have, medical treatment and training through, internet. Also, there's satellites that monitor your weather. And so, when you go to your weather app on your phone, that's satellite technology. But most importantly, there are satellites that can help detect and track natural disasters as well. So that helps us plan better and prepare better. And also too, space exploration is a business that is really borderless. It transcends the divisions that, we unfortunately experience here on Earth. And, for folks like me in the space business, we have the opportunity to really work internationally across the globe and create really innovative technology and really, really cool things. So, those are just kind of three things that I can think of off the top of my head that just really improve humanity on Earth. And just, one other point too, on the International Space Station, they're conducting experiments and up there, medical experiments, things like that we could certainly use right here on Earth as well.
Wow, that is so cool. And you work for Virgin, correct?
Yes.
So what is, like, I'm just fascinated. Richard Branson's one of my heroes. I've read like so many of his books. I met Richard Branson. I have a picture of myself with Richard Branson. Absolutely charming man. What is it like to work in an organization that he has founded?
Oh my goodness. It is absolutely amazing. One thing that I tell folks that I mentor is that it's really important that you pick your leaders, because the work will come, but when you have leaders that have your back and really care about you and really value you showing up to work as your full authentic self, that is priceless. You can't put a price tag or a paycheck on that. And, working within one of his organizations is just that. We are allowed to show up as our full authentic self. We create and we really band together. And it's absolutely incredible when you have amazing leaders.
Wow. Oh my God. That is so cool. Like that's something I'm going to.
Let's just hang up now. We'll just call Richard up and get him on the show. He might be a better guest for us, actually. No,
stop that.
but you can introduce him to us if you want. We'll accept that. No, but really, I like Jillian. I'm fascinated by Richard because I've read, I think, all of his books now. And they're all so good and so weird because the style is just so authentic, right? He's just sort of like conversational, fantastic stuff. So, no, that's great. So I'm glad to hear it goes all the way down through the organization, because you work for a company, frankly, I didn't even know existed, right? Virgin Orbits. It's not Virgin Galactic, which everyone hears about, the publicly traded space tourism thing. This is focused on small satellite launches, which is what you were talking about, right? So I'm wondering, can we talk for a minute about your blog, if that's all right? Because I love your blog. So the blog's premise is space from a female perspective. And I never really thought about it that way before I saw your blog, because I guess I didn't know any female people were in space stuff, which is, I guess, a big oversight on my part. But so tell us about that. Like, how did you get started with that? And what's the crux of it?
Essentially, the aerospace industry is a male-dominated industry. And, the lack of representation on the female side is just daunting. And so, through my research, so actually one of my research focus areas was really asking the question, why are there so few women in aerospace, and then even fewer women at the leadership ranks? Mm-hmm. And so I wanted to create an online community where it really just normalizes women in leadership. And, really, so folks can get used to seeing and recognizing women in, various aerospace roles. But then also, a lot of times, like when I was a kid, I thought you had to be a rocket scientist or an astronaut to break into this industry. And that's certainly not the case. And so I really try to highlight women who are in various roles that span engineering, that span, information technology. I work with a lot of folks in the past and in the present who are on the business side, the human resources side, even fashion design. And it's really important that, folks and women and underrepresented groups realize that if you can really think about a type of occupation or job, it's really for, you can probably find it in space. And not to mention, you don't have to have a 4-year degree. You don't have to have, a fancy PhD or master's degree. There's many people that work in the space business that just have awesome expertise, whether that's technical training, like from vocational schools, or things that they just bring to the table that make this business so unique. So it's really a well-rounded business. And I'm really trying to bring that awareness, particularly through a female perspective, to the masses and whoever will read my blog and ask questions and gain insight.
Do you find that these women that you've featured on your blog, do you find that they're science focused, or they're all over the place? And also, in being wherever they are in the space we'll just call it the space program, how do they balance that? Because that seems like a tough career. How do they balance like the other responsibilities of being a woman, whether it's being a mom or a wife or, just a female in general? Like, what do they do to balance that?
Yeah, no, that's a really great question. And it actually goes back to something I said earlier. It's really important that you pick your leaders, folks that are going to share that flexibility. I think, in today's climate, we've got opportunities for, remote working, but also too, everybody learns and works differently. And as leaders, we have to be responsive to that. And so, a lot of the women that I've highlighted, they are more like in a traditional STEM focus. But, the purpose of that is just showing that, the space business goes beyond just the traditional engineering or science role. So there's different ways that you can still contribute within the STEM realm, if you will. And so I think that that's what's really, really important there. But the work-life balance is one that everybody, like if you ask 10 people what work-life balance means to them, you're going to get 10 different answers.
Yeah.
So it's really one of those things, what works for you first and foremost, and your loved ones. I'm very fortunate to where I love my job, that I do it on the weekends, maybe not in a professional setting, but, I research, various different things as it pertains to space systems, or just trying to find cool women to highlight. And I love doing that on my free time because I think that that's really important. So that's for me, my work-life balance is finding activities that still align to my primary focus, but also finding ways to do that in a volunteer and outreach perspective too.
I love that. I mean, because that's like, for me, the biggest thing, the secret to like being happy and productive in life is finding things to do that align with your internal character, right? If you can do that, then you're just, everything's awesome, right? Like it's just the way it is. And so that's amazing. And by the way, I will acknowledge, right, you're here on the weekend, Saturday morning, right, doing this show, talking about space, and we appreciate you taking the time out to do that.
Yeah. No,
it's fun.
I just, this is so inspiring to me. And I'm going to show one of my children, they're not girls, they're boys, but I'm going to show one of my children this video because I took my youngest son, not my youngest son, excuse me, my middle child to an event where they had all these big, huge, it was like the Astronomers Society in San Diego. And on top of, at Palomar Observatory, which is a big, now defunct observatory here in California, they had all these big, huge telescopes set up for the kids to look into and see things. And one guy had it directed towards Saturn. And so my little boy looked into it and he comes off and he goes, "Mom, I just saw Saturn and it changed my life."
That's actually exactly how I felt when I saw Saturn. I took an astronomy class when I was at a community college or something, and we went to an observatory and I saw Saturn, and it was like, it looks like a cartoon in real life. Like it looks exactly like how you would think Saturn would look like. And it shocked me because I assumed it would be like really lame and goofy looking, And I was like, I can't believe it. It has rings and it's like colorful and like, it just seems so unreal. And it was one of those moments where I was just like, wow, this is like shockingly impressive.
Yeah.
And I love space stuff for that because one time I went to this place in the Australian outback called Coober Pedy, and it's like in the middle of nowhere, right? And I was talking to this guy in this hotel that was underground. Like literally they live underground because it's too hot out there in the middle of the desert. And so you go into these old opal mines and there's a hotel, and I was like, hey, where can I go like see the stars? Because I was like, you know, I'm in the southern hemisphere and like the stars are gonna be really amazing. And he's like, the best place is to go to the city dump. And I was like, what? The city dump? But apparently like you go to the city dump, there's like a big pile of trash, right? And it blocks out all the lights from the city. So you go outside of the city dump and like there's no city lights. And so you're just like, and the stars, like the Milky Way was like, it was like super bright. And I saw a fireball while I was there. I mean, it like lit up the whole sky. I mean, it was really the most amazing experience. And those kind of things are what I think we're missing. And actually I worry about it, right? Like with like all of the satellites launching, and I'm not against satellites, just to be clear, but like I think I read there's been like 3,000, 4,000 satellites total launched in history, right? Like it's not that many. But then you've got like Elon Musk saying he's going to launch 5,000 in the next year, and I start to worry that like maybe we won't be able to see the stars anymore. Like there's going to be so many satellites. Is that something I should be worried about?
Right, your congressperson.
I don't know if I'm the right person to ask that question. I don't know.
So no, I mean, look, I think satellites are really important, but I mean, like, is that a legitimate concern? Because I've seen people complaining about that online. Like, should we be worried?
Have you seen how big space is?
Yeah, I have. It's big.
I just feel like there's gonna it might be a.
Well, we'll just say it's going to be okay. I'm all right with that. Jillian says it's okay, so you don't have to answer.
Yeah, no, I really don't know.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
I always think about that one internet meme where it says, like, if you think your problems are significant, and it shows the Milky Way and it goes, and you're here, and it just points, and you just realize how big everything is out there and how much there is to explore and how much there is to know. And like the thing is that like I am so glad that of that question of why are we concerned about space, because it is for the good of humanity here on Earth.
For sure.
Like,
yes.
Oh my God, I never thought of it that way before. Like I always thought of it as, great, we junked up this planet and now we're going to go to Mars and like live on that planet and junk that up too. But no, that's not really what the focus is. The focus is how can we improve life here on Earth by going and exploring space.
Well, we wouldn't have Tang if it wasn't for space. So
or astronaut ice cream. Astronaut ice cream is,
disgusting. Yeah,
it
really
is totally
is.
disgusting.
It's really bad.
It's totally disgusting.
Actually, I just saw Buzz Aldrin tweeted just the other day, like 2 days ago, that space food has gotten a lot better since he was in space. So we're good. I mean, literally like 2 days ago, he tweeted that. So
well, now we can all travel there.
Yeah, listen, I that's a good question. So, obviously, everything about space that can possibly be known. So when am I going to be able to go to space?
Oh my goodness. You are so funny. Yeah, no, I know probably like this much because it's so vast, but there are many companies that are looking at, space tourism. I mean, I think you mentioned like a space elevator before. I'm not as familiar with all that. Unfortunately, I mean, that's something though that I would love to read up on and learn more about, but I mean,
just ignore him, Michaelyn. Just
listen, if you want to learn more about space elevators, we actually did a show about space elevators once.
Oh.
We did? When did we do that?
Well, I mean, when I say we did a show about it, I mean we mentioned it once before. When we had Dr. Ian Pearson on, the futurologist, he told us that space elevators would be around sometime around 2100 is when they would be able to build them efficiently. So we're gonna have to wait a little while.
Wait around then.
2100. I'm planning on making it. I have no desire to die, so I'm gonna just make it to 2100 and take the space elevator.
Jeff, do you see the face I'm making?
Yeah, it's like, I can't believe how amazing Jeff is face.
Oh my
You know,
gosh.
unfortunately, we're getting close to out of time. So before we go, though, there's a couple of things that I want to talk to you about. One, like, what's the best way for our guests to reach out to you, get a hold of you, follow what you're doing?
Yeah, no, great question. So, you know, my social media handles across Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram is at spacedOutDoc. And my website is spacedOutDoc.com. The best way to get a hold of me there, I mean, you can find my email, and I do like to respond to all inquiries that do come through. That's one thing that, you know, again, this is an online community that's really trying to advance women empowerment objectives within space. And people sometimes have questions and they don't know how to ask them. That's okay. So I try to help point people in the right direction. So again, yeah, at Spaced Out Doc are my,
Awesome.
my
And people should definitely follow you on Instagram. And I say that because I learned you follow me on Instagram. So thank you for that. I appreciate it. And all right. So Jillian, do you want to ask the one question that we ask of every guest that comes on Last Life Ever?
What do you believe is living your best version of your last life ever?
Oh, I love that question. You know, I have to say that I'm a pretty happy person, and I'm very proud of what I've been able to do and work across the world. So I'm very happy with what I'm doing now. If I could enhance that to the best, it would have to be that living amongst tolerant folks, and where we live in a world full of acceptance and understanding. But, you know, and we're working towards that. I really do believe that that's coming. But yes, that would be the best version of my last life.
Awesome.
That took my breath away. That was awesome, Michaelyn. Thank you so much for being with us. Everybody stick around. We'll be right back.
I told you she was going to be awesome.
I know, you really did. I wasn't expecting to walk away with a whole new appreciation for space exploration. Like, I've always been into it. As a matter of fact, you don't know this, and I don't think anybody knows this, but what I've been working on during my Kind 40 challenge is working on a fiction novel that revolves around space exploration. So,
you know, I wrote one of those, right?
What's that?
You know, I wrote a fiction novel about space exploration, right?
Yeah, I haven't read it though. Have I?
Well, no, I don't think so. But no, I should send it to you. I need to like finish it. Like, it's like a draft. Like, do you know anyone that like edits drafts and wants to write my book for me? That'd be awesome, because I'm really lazy.
I know probably all the same people that you know.
Yeah, we should get Dave McIntyre to do it, because he said editing was the most fun part of writing. Remember?
I know. So he can be setting your book. So no, mine's a children's novel, and several years ago, my kids and I wrote a book together about traveling around the world. These two kids were on a race. It was, you know, Tommy and Tyler. I changed the names, but they knew who it was. And they were traveling around the world. And so now I decided to like take that a little bit of a step further and bring them into space. And that's what the book is I'm writing about. So I'm really just excited. And like now, like, I just never thought of the possibility of saving humanity through space, like, or just I mean, like, that's just incredible. Like, you can deliver internet to more people so they can get more information and knowledge and have the tools that they need in order to live a better life. Live a better version of their last life ever.
Well, that's right. And the thing is, like, a lot of that technology, like satellite broadcast of internet is, of course, you know, really important, but a lot of the technology we use that's not even space related is a byproduct of the space industry, which is something we probably should have asked her about. But like things like cell phones and like microchips and stuff, like microchips are the perfect example. Like, those really didn't exist previous to the space industry.
Right.
Like, they were designed for that. Like, computers were the size of a room, right? Like, now, would that stuff have been designed anyway? Maybe, but when you spend billions, actually trillions of dollars over the last, 75 years on space, it's going to have a lot of external benefits to technology. Actually, have a friend that's a PhD in like philosophy and he wrote his dissertation on the ethics of space travel. We should probably get him on sometime too,
Yeah.
because he writes about how important it is to keep doing these things because of all the fringe benefits.
Yeah. I mean, like, I don't know. I don't know if I'll ever go to space.
I'm going to space as soon as it's an option. Like, I mean, realistic option, right? Like nothing against Richard Branson, but like paying $500,000 to go to like the edge of space for 5 minutes. I mean, I might do that if I was really rich, but I'm not that rich. So I'm probably not going to do that. But like, if I can do like the, 3 days around the moon trip, I'm doing that. Or like stay in the space hotel for a weekend. I would do that. Yeah, for sure I would.
All right. Let's wrap up this party, if you will.
I'm going to miss you, Jillian. I hope you have a great week.
I'll miss you too, Jeffrey, even though I'll
probably see you in like 5 minutes. But,
right. I was just going to say, goodbye. I don't know.
We'll know about that. All right, you know what? Let's just end the show.
I have a joke. You don't have a joke?
Okay, yeah, let's end the show with your joke. All right, cool.
Okay. Sherlock Holmes and John Watson are camping on a case they are investigating. So they're out camping, right?
Okay, camping while working on a case. Got it.
Yes, okay. And after putting up at the tent, they're having a good dinner and drinking a bottle of wine, they go to sleep. In the middle of the night, Holmes wakes up and he nudges his friend and he says, Watson, look up at the sky and tell me what you see. And he says, I see millions of stars, Holmes. And what can you deduce from that? He says. And he says, well, it tells me that there's millions of galaxies and potentially billions of planets. Somewhere in the universe with so many billions of stars, there's a high probability there's Earth-like planets. And assuming that the Earth is typical, they may have developed intelligent life. Like, so he's going on and he's just theorizing, like, all these things are in the universe. Like, look at it, this big sky. And so Sherlock Holmes is quiet for a minute. And he goes, however, my most immediate concern is that clearly someone has stolen our tent.
I thought you were going to say something like, it's going to be a sunny day tomorrow. But yeah, I mean, I don't think I can top that amazing joke. So maybe I'll just tell you my favorite joke, which is blue and smells like red paint. I've mixed it up this time.
Blue paint.
That's correct.
Blue paint.
Blue paint.
I've only heard that joke 10 times.
Actually, I've never told that joke because I usually say what's red and smells like blue paint. So I switched it up.
All right.
But you were so smart, you figured it out. So listen, Jillian, would you like to remind our guests of anything? Or I mean, our viewers of anything? Our viewer of anything?
Anybody want to be reminded of something? Yes, everybody. I'm Jillian Sidoti. That's Jeffrey Holston. We want to remind you to live the best version of your last life ever.